If the past few years have taught us anything, it's that we can't depend on the people in control to take care of us. We've gone through a pandemic, food shortages, toilet paper shortages, and medication shortages. And now is the time for us to learn to take care of ourselves. President Biden warned us this week that food shortages are coming.
With regard to food shortages, yes, we did talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real.
So while you should be getting extra food as you shop, and I'm not talking about hoarding, just buying 5 or 10 cans more than you usually would, you should also get your prescription medications refilled as soon as you can each month and start putting some back so that if it isn't available in 6 months, you won't have to go without. Various medication shortages have been going on for more than 20 years. And since most of the medications used in the United States are not produced in the United States, we have lost a lot of control over availability. But what if your backup stock of medication runs out and your pharmacy tells you that they don't know when it will be back in stock? Shouldn't you have a plan C? Knowing what herbs you can grow and use to support your particular health conditions may save your life. Here are 7 herbs that I'm planting in my garden this season. Which ones would benefit you? Wild lettuce is a weed that is both edible and can be used medicinally. The young leaves can be cooked like lettuce as a side dish and contain vitamin C, A, and beta-carotene. It also contains calcium and magnesium and is a good source of fiber. The plant is a biennial, which means it has a 2-year growth cycle. For medicinal purposes, the 2nd-year growth, when the plant is flowering, is considered more potent. A half teaspoon of dried leaves can be made into a tea and drunk up to 3 times a day. The leaves can also be tinctured, or you can collect the milky latex sap, dry it, and take 1/4 of a teaspoon up to 3 times daily. Wild lettuce tea has been used for pain such as headaches, menstrual cramps, and muscle aches. It's also been used for insomnia and cough. The liquid sap can be used on wounds as an antiseptic and wound protectant, and it can help remove warts. There is very little information on using wild lettuce during pregnancy or when nursing, so it would probably be best to avoid it, except under the direction of your healthcare provider. Also, it may cause drowsiness, so take it in small doses and do not drive after taking it. Wild lettuce grows wild, and this is the first year I've actually planted it in my garden. I'm looking forward to not having to go out and hunt for it. If you decide to add this plant to your garden, it likes partial to full sun and moist but not soggy soil. The seeds like to be planted on the surface of the soil and not covered because they need sunlight to germinate. Stinging nettle is another weed that is very useful. It deserves the name stinging because of the tiny needle-like projections that cover the leaves and stems of the plant. These contain formic acid, which causes the sting, so when you pick it, be sure to wear gloves. Unless you have arthritis in your hands, and then you may want to get stung, but more on that in a minute. The young plants are rich in phytochemicals, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Never eat the plant raw, but drying, boiling, blanching, or sautéing the leaves and tender roots can make a delicious and nutritious side dish. Stinging nettle is very high in vitamin K, so if you are taking warfarin, you should discuss how much you can eat with your physician. Medicinally, it has been used to reduce the symptoms of seasonal allergies such as runny nose, itchy eyes, and sneezing. Some studies show that rubbing the raw plant on painful joints helps relieve the pain of arthritis. You just have to get past the initial stinging. Other studies have shown that stinging nettle can be used in lowering blood pressure, blood sugar, and may help wounds heal faster. Make a cup of tea by steeping 1 teaspoon of dried nettle in a cup of just boiled water for about 10 minutes. This can be taken up to 3 times a day. Nettle can also be made into a tincture or liniment for topical use. Nettle likes to spread out, so you may want to plant it in a pot to keep it under control. It is easy to please and will grow in partial shade to full sun. Keep the soil damp but not soggy. Purslane is another weed that is very nutritious and also helpful medicinally. Purslane has small, thick leaves that taste a bit sour and slightly salty. They're delicious when added to a salad, or you can eat it cooked like spinach. Purslane has significant amounts of vitamins A and C, iron, and magnesium. It is also one of the best vegetable sources of omega-3 fatty acids and contains 300 to 400 milligrams per 100 grams of purslane. Purslane has been used medicinally for abnormal mental bleeding and normalizing blood sugar. It is anti-inflammatory, and the mucilage in the thick leaves is soothing to bug bites and stings. It also calms an inflamed intestinal tract and has been used to treat ulcers and colitis. Because it contains oxalic acid, if you have a history of kidney stones or osteoporosis, or if you're pregnant, you'll want to avoid purslane. Purslane has earned the title of weed honestly. If left to its own devices, it will try to take over your garden, so it is best grown in a container. Purslane loves to be hot and dry, so plant it in the sun and let it dry out between waterings. You may have noticed that many of the herbs I grow should be kept in a container. I have mini containers, also known as mineral tubs. I've been gifted these from my husband, the farmer, after the cattle empty them. They are the perfect size to grow a good amount of herb, and they line up quite nicely. I have multiple tubs of some herbs that I use a lot, such as peppermint, lemon balm, basil, and chamomile, and single tubs of those I use less. St. John's wort is a beautiful yellow flower and has been used for years for depression and anxiety, but it is also helpful with viral infections such as chickenpox, herpes, and shingles. It has also been used to relieve nerve pain and tinnitus. It can be used topically to treat bruises, scrapes, and rashes. St. John's wort should not be used internally if you are on a prescription antidepressant, cyclosporine, if you take oral contraceptives, warfarin, heart medications, or digoxin. You should also not take it if you are pregnant or nursing. If you are on any prescription medications, please consult your healthcare provider to have them determine if St. John's wort or any herb is safe for you. If you're going to have any surgery, stop taking St. John's wort 2 weeks before. If this isn't possible, make sure you inform your doctor that you are on this herb. St. John's wort likes to be hot and dry, so plant it next to the purslane. Yarrow is an herb I will always have in my garden. My husband is outside working on the farm. There are sharp things on the farm. Barbed wire that needs stretched, mower blades that need sharpened, corners on machinery, and sometimes invisible obstacles that jump out and poke or scratch or cut him. So he bleeds a lot. So we get out the powdered yarrow to stop the bleeding and help prevent infections so he can keep working. Besides being one of the best herbal styptics, yarrow is also used to support a fever and to relieve toothache, bloating, and gas. It can be applied in a poultice to reduce bruising after an injury. Yarrow has beautiful fern-like leaves and likes to grow in partial to full sun. It will tolerate being slightly dry between waterings. The young shoots and leaves of Angelica are edible and can be tossed into a salad or cooked like spinach. If you know exactly what you're looking for, you can find Angelica growing in the wild. But too many people have confused this plant that has umbrella-like flowers with poison hemlock. So to be on the safe side, purchase seeds from a reputable seller and plant them in your garden. This way, you won't end up dead. Medicinally, Angelica tea has been used as an expectorant to relieve congestion due to a cold, the flu, or bronchitis. It has also been used to relieve intestinal cramps and menstrual cramps, but it should not be used if you are pregnant. Angelica is a biennial plant and blooms and seeds in the second year, then the plant dies. The best medicine is in the roots, but the seeds are also very medicinal. So the second year would be a great time to harvest the seeds, then dig up the root. If you allow some of the seeds to fall to the ground, it will come back next year. Angelica likes to grow in a shady area and likes its soil a bit damp at all times. I love basil, and I'm planting 4 different varieties this year. I use it in all things tomato and dry a ton of it every year. Medicinally, it can be taken in a tea to help boost the immune system, reduce fevers, and protect your liver against medications that may damage it, such as too much acetaminophen, some anti-seizure medications, and some psych meds. 1 cup of basil tea every day may help increase your milk supply if you're nursing, but too much of it may have adverse effects, so check with your healthcare provider first. Plant your basil in a nice sunny area and keep the soil damp to make it happy. If you found this information helpful, but you want more information on growing herbs to help keep yourself and your family healthy, click here. Thank you for joining me today to learn what herbs you need to consider growing in your garden this year. Stay healthy, be careful with that stinging nettle, and have a blessed week.